since I've been sheriff, there's very few elected officials that I can say have made it a point to seek me out, because I'm not a good politician. I'm a lawman. I've 35 years of this, but this is one who has been here since day one to support me. And she is absolutely law enforcement's friend and the community. She is firmly rooted. She knows what we are going through here in East Tennessee, and I have nothing but good things to say about her. And it's not just because you're standing here, but thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Gosh, ladies, look at all these women. I love it. It's like being at a women's hormone seminar. If you need me later, I'll certainly talk to you about that too. I'll take questions. Watch the men. Yeah, I see you over there. Yeah, you're going to feel real uncomfortable shortly. So anyway, Keith's not just as a law enforcement or as a sheriff, he's a dear friend too. And even before he was sheriff, you know, we talked about a lot of things going on in Washington County. But look, ladies, when I was asking, and I would have dressed better, but I've been at a train station, and, you know, if you ever watch Yellowstone Train Depot, I asked them if they had one, and they didn't tell me. So, but the thing is, I'm going to talk to you about what impediments, and you can share with me the impediments of you in law enforcement as women, just like there was impediments. Look, I've been a pharmacist 38 years. It used to be men in pharmacy, right? That was an impediment. They're like, can I speak to the male druggist? And so I said, honey, you're looking at the female druggist. And, you know, there was impediment in my professional career, and then you go on to politics, and there's absolutely impediment to women on my side of the aisle in politics. And, you know, if you go back a little bit with my story, and I won't be too long about it, but I was the first one in my immediate family to graduate from high school, and then the first one to go on to college, and the first one to go on to professional school. And you didn't do that in my family, because you were told to go get a job. And I took 2 years of shorthand, 2 years of typing to go into the secretarial pool at the Eastman, okay? That's how they prepared us. And but I just, you know, you want more, and you know you got the capability, and it was my husband that pushed me to do that. And it's amazing what you can do if you have somebody who says you can do that. It doesn't matter. This is how you do it. You got to have a little roadmap, don't you? So same thing. You know, I'm the first duly female elected in the 1st district, and there was 30 women on the Republican side in Congress, and now we have less because some of the women left Congress, but there's not very many of us that can legislate at that level either and do things to reinforce law enforcement or probation or what. There's so many things that we can do, but look, I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother. I have a whole different perspective about legislation than a lot of other people do. You understand? I never was in politics till I was elected in 2020 because I was busy raising a family, running a business, teaching Sunday school, all those things. Can anybody relate to that? Do you have more than one job? Raise your hand. Totally. Because that's what we do as women. We do multiple things at once, and we do them all well, don't we? Because if you ask your husband to pick the kids up, you better tell him what time. You better keep reminding him, because believe me, my son has been left on the curb at times, and I'll never forget when I got to tell this story, but don't tell him I told you this. When I was in pharmacy school, I was also working full-time, going to school full-time, and I got pregnant my 2nd year, and that's a 4-year program. Well, that's full-time. And when I had the baby, you know, I missed a couple days of school, but I remember my husband's like, you're tired, you lay down, I'll take care of the baby. And I woke up about 3 o'clock, and I heard him crying. I'm like, and I went in to check on him in the other bed. I'm like, I couldn't find him. And I kept following the crying, and he had put him in the closet in his bassinet. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, you can't multitask for squat. So it's things like that that, you know, that we do so well, ladies. I don't know what else to tell you, you know. And when you live a real life like what you're doing now, and a lot of you are moms, and you're doing all these things at once, and it builds character, and it gives you a perspective of real life, doesn't it? Because, man, when I go up there and some of these people give me ideas about legislation, and I look at them, I'm like, what? Have you ever done this before? But no, they're making rules for you and me, and they've never worked in that profession or at that level, or they've never done some of the things that they are creating legislation for. But tell me, before we start talking about hormones, tell me what, if you have questions, and it is hard. And I see our female judge back there, you know, listen, is it hard for you all to go up the ladder as far as in the specific area of law enforcement you're in? And it's okay to nod. You don't have to raise your hand. Is it hard to get elevated among your, not just, I shouldn't say female peers, but against the men in your same ranks? Has it been hard? Is it different? You have to work twice as hard? Just tell me. If you have to work harder to get where you're at, that's not good. Where's Keith at? I'll have a word with him if I see your heads going up and down. But listen, I can't imagine some of the obstacles you have to face. And, you know, I've talked to law enforcement at every level. You know, I was on Homeland Security when I was first elected, and I was on cybersecurity and critical infrastructure, and we got to go to FLETC where they train a lot of the FBI agents, and they'll come down and train law enforcement and local agencies as well. But just, you know what I don't think that I would have the heart to do is these child abuse cases. How can you sit there day after day after day and listen to these precious children tell their stories and know the horrific scenes and the things that they've been through and still come out and have to go home and take care of your family? To me, that is when I get a righteous anger. And I know there's laws, ladies. But as a mother and a grandmother, you would have to, if I ever saw it happen or I was privy to that, you'd have to kill me. Because, I don't want to, I'm a Christian. I can't think the way I think about these people. Because if it were up to me, I'd go Old Testament on them. That's all I'm saying. And I know that everything has to be PC when it comes to law enforcement because they can take you and they can just file charges against you for anything. I've talked to the sheriffs in the area, and some of the tactics these people use. I just toured the jail down in Hamlin County, the new one they're building. It's a state-of-the-art facility. And, the things that they have to think of when it comes to just watching the inmates. And, you see those pods, the way they've got them organized, and they have fail-safe systems in place in this new facility to make sure if somebody forgets something, they'll lock the door or this, it triggers other things as far as the officer's safety. But what they've done to law enforcement in the past 4 years and how they've treated men and women in law enforcement is a travesty. And I want you to know that I've always supported law enforcement. I will always support law enforcement, and it's not something I would even think about not supporting. And there's different issues that you face, like child abuse cases and things of that nature that I don't know if, it almost takes a mother in a lot of cases just to listen and just to know, and it's hard to decipher truth in a lot of cases too, I bet, when you have more than one person involved in some of these things. Listen, we've got students that are homeless right now, and then you don't know what they go through. The teachers do. And how many of you, are any of you resource officers anywhere? Okay. And that's tough too. It's when you see school violence and the things that are going on in school. I told them a long time ago, I said, look, give them whatever they need to secure those schools. Have one way in and multiple ways out. Because there's laws they passed in Tennessee. I don't know if you agree or not, and I know there's been dissent with some of the agencies about arming teachers, but if they're qualified and you can prove that they're qualified and they're tested, I don't know why it's a bad idea, but man, as a grandmother, I'd stand outside that door all day. I'd be putting bulletproof vests on my grandsons, and I'd be teaching them to wield a weapon, but they're only 8 and 10, and my son won't let me. But, there's just a lot of obstacles. What are some of the things you all face, or what kind of questions? I don't know if I'm supposed to take questions, but if you have a question for me, look, now is the time to ask it, because I don't think I've got one more stop after this, but does anybody have a specific question, maybe about legislation that's going on right now, or what's going on to federal level, or maybe it's just about something locally? Somebody's got to have a question. You can ask me anything, girls, but my age or my weight, okay? So raise your hand if you got a question. Come on now. Y'all know everything about me? Do you want to know some behind-the-scenes things going on up in the White House? Well, you got to tell me what you want to know, because there's a lot going on. I will tell you this, the president absolutely is going to do everything he can to help law enforcement, to build you up, to give you the funds you need to operate. And, I've talked to Sheriff Sexton, I've talked to Sheriff Cassidy, I've talked to all these guys about even housing inmates and how you lose money when you house those inmates, if they're state or federal. I'm like, well, just don't house them. Send them back. And if you can't, you negotiate with them. If they don't have room either, guess what? You can negotiate that fee, can't you, girls? Yeah, that's just, Donald Trump would love that, President Trump. He's a negotiator. Look, you all don't have the money you need to do the things you have to do on a daily basis. And what you're paid is, we need to up that. Just like the Border Patrol. You're worth more than what you're paid to do what you do on a daily basis. And obstacles you face are probably the same thing I've faced in my life. But you know what? You can do anything you want to do if you just know the right people and you ask and ask for help. And we're here to help you. Look, most of 12 counties have my cell phone number, so if they need me, they're going to call me. And believe me, they call me. They text me. I've set a record of being in Walmart for 5 hours. Do you know why? My husband called and said, have you been kidnapped? I said, no, but I'm answering questions up and down every aisle. And that's the kind of person you want to represent you. They would be, I'm sure you get stopped no matter where you go, and I hope they come up and say, thank you for your service and everything you're doing for us. Do they do that to you? Does the general public? And what a blessing that is. So I can't believe you women do. All right, mister, I see you over there. What kind of question you have for me? I know you probably got a question. I know who you are. Yeah, think hard. He knows everything about me, too. Yeah, I know you do. Do what? I told my son, he just turned 40. I said, son, we got a problem. Now you're older than your mother. I said, you'll have to explain that one away. Yeah, so see, this is how you get to where you have to be relatable, don't you? In law enforcement, you got to be able to talk to that person and maybe de-escalate whatever situation you're in. Same way I have to do up there in D.C. because I'm talking to people. Sometimes I've had protesters outside my office. I've had, I can't read that, Cody. I've got my contacts in, but I still can't read it. I've had protesters at my Coffee with the Congresswoman things, and I listen to everybody. And that's what you have to do. As long as they're being respectful, you listen to both sides of whatever argument. But in the end, it's you're going to do what's right no matter what, and that's what you all are there to do. And you're to teach those people that you interact with what's right and what's wrong. And then you read them the riot act, right? So I just want you to know that I appreciate everything you do, and I have an open door, believe me. Jimmy Quillen did this once. He served for what, Cody, 34, 36 years? And I swear, that man had an open door policy. And you know what he did? He took his door off his office, and he said, come on in. And that's the way I want to be for you all. And I am for, superiors or anybody else. But if you see me somewhere, don't hesitate to say something. And if you have an issue that I can help you with, and believe me, there's issues you never thought I could help you with that we can. So please come to me. And I have staff in Kingsport and Morristown. You can pick the phone up and call. But we're accessible and we're approachable, right? Yes, absolutely. I see him down in Cotton County all the time. Man, and when you go to Cotton County, it's where my moonshiners live. And they're my buddies. It's all legal. It's all legal. Mark and Digger. It's fun stuff. But when you see me, just come up and speak to me, okay? Because it's an honor and a privilege. If you're from this, is everybody from the district? From the 12 counties? Where are you from? Oh, okay. Well, you should be in number 1. I have to talk smack to my colleagues. I'm like, we're number 1. There's not a thing you can do with it. So, 1st District. But that's good. I'm glad you're up here from 3rd. You go back and tell them how good this is up here in the 3rd. Oh, 3rd, yeah. Okay. Man, I thought you were from, Fleshman's District. Yeah. Oh, I saw you at the Hawkins County. God bless the milk cow. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What in the world? Okay. Well, have y'all never heard that? You ought to hear me in a hearing when this starts coming out. And if I ever say bless your heart to one of the witnesses, it's on, okay? All right. Well, I'll get off the stage. I don't know who takes the microphone from me now because Keith left. So, but anyway, what a pleasure it is. And you contact us if you need help. And I will be on to my next destination. Right, Cody? Right. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.